Oh.
Yeah.
I would like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Wow, who is shocked that the crazy hens from The View are so mad at Trump's new press secretary, Karoline Leavitt? They claim that she only got her job because she's a 10, which is pretty ironic considering the fact that these are the same type of women that promote feminism. But of course, if you are a female that dares not to think precisely like they do, which is stupid, a very stupid way of thinking, then they will hate you more than they hate the white man and the patriarchy. Oh yeah. Let's get straight into this crazy clip because the hosts from The View are getting a lot of flack and it makes a ton of sense why. Watch this.
Yesterday, the new White House press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, gave her very first press conference where she announced that they're adding extra seats to the briefing room. Take a look.
It's essential to our team that we share President Trump's message everywhere and adapt this White House to the new media landscape in 2025. This White House believes strongly in the First Amendment, so it's why our team will work diligently to restore the press passes of the 440 journalists whose passes were wrongly revoked by the previous administration. We're also opening up this briefing room to new media voices who produce news-related content and whose outlet is not already represented by one of the seats in this room. We welcome independent journalists, podcasters, social media influencers, and content creators to apply for credentials to cover this White House. This seat in the front of the room, which is usually occupied by the press secretary's staff, will be called the new media seat. My team will review the applications and give credentials to new media applicants who meet our criteria and pass United States Secret Service requirements to enter the White House complex.
All right.
What'd she say?
She basically said that they were going to give
God, how boring.
unqualified
Can they
people
get somebody there who's
jobs.
not
The
so
Behind
tedious?
the Table podcast needs to apply for White House credentials.
Oh, they'd love having Joy in that room.
So
I got a question.
So wait a second. So in other words, instead of Bob Woodward, they want Kim Kardashian? What? I don't get it.
Wait, okay.
I have a question, which is why I was leading us in this direction.
Yeah.
I would like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about.
Wait a minute, busted your behind? Whoopi, have you ever got off your behind? Come on, what work did you actually do? And for what? To criticize a woman just because she's not as hideous as women from your party? Cry me a river, bitch.
About this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason. Because black people couldn't get into colleges. Because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women. Yeah. See, this is not black, Asian women. This is all women. Women were not invited to this party. It was a man's world, and we busted our asses to make sure that this was a person's world. So please, please.
Listen, bitch, a perfect world certainly does not include a world where Whoopi Goldberg is on a mainstream talk show. Or any woman, for that matter. Yeah, call me sexist or call me exactly correct. By the way, if you enjoy videos like this, make sure you subscribe, like today's video, comment down below. It really helps boost the video in the algorithm, and I would greatly appreciate it, but let's get back to it.
Stop using that phrase and talking about because you don't understand what you're saying. You're saying about yourself that, you know, hey, that's a terrible thing to be. It's not a terrible thing to be. That's why we fought. That's what we were fighting for, so that you could stand in that podium, so that Catherine Jean-Pierre could stand at that podium. So women of all kinds of colors and ilks, wherever they came from, whatever their belief system was, they had the opportunity to bust down that door.
Don't you-
I just
and
wanted
by the
to.
way, I think she's probably been put in there because according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though. It's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the
Okay,
previous Trump administration.
She's
on
whatever
Capitol
I'm
Hill.
saying, this is the first
Which I
time
think
that
is an
she's been
accomplishment.
she may be, but my point.
Listen, I would rather be the party that favors hot women over queer, black, gay women. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Karine Jean-Pierre. Yeah, who couldn't answer questions. Do I need to play the montage? Really?
Is that job would not maybe have been open to her.
No, I understand. I just
without
wanted to
us.
clarify that.
Yeah.
But on the issue of the new media, because I actually think this is kind of brilliant, and I think future Democratic White Houses should do the same thing. We're realizing this election, how people consume media has drastically changed. This was the Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, Alex Cooper election. It wasn't mainstream old school media that was driving people's interest in what they were following and the stories they were. And I think this is an acknowledgement that Trump realizes this. This is a person who made his career in television.
What's to prevent those media influences from being only on his side?
Well, there will be partisans, but I think it was promising that they brought in Axios, which is mainstream, but then they brought in Breitbart, which is a right-wing outlet. And so some of the outlets that had their passes revoked when Biden came in were right-of-center outlets. I don't have a problem with partisan outlets being there as long as it's representative of both sides and you have non-biased traditional media there as well, and that it's fact-driven how they cover it.
The problem that I have with it, though, is, she's saying that these people that are going to apply will meet their criteria. We understand that their criteria is woefully deficient and unserious. Right. I think that their real problem in this election, one of the real problems among the many, is the misinformation and disinformation that was disseminated on social media by these influencers and by these podcasters. Why are they qualified to sit in front in the White House briefing room and tell America what is going on with the country? Traditionally, to become a White House correspondent or to be in that briefing room, you had to have a journalism degree. Yeah. You had to have qualifications. Yeah. So I guess the rise of mediocrity is here to stay.
No, it's the rise of independent journalists, bitch, okay? No, you don't need to have a degree from a BS university where you have to buy your way to have a degree and credentials. No. People can follow who they want, and I think it's great that the Trump administration is allowing independent journalists and social media influencers into the White House because not everything needs to go through a corporate media funnel. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of these watered down corporate biased takes. Are you with me or are you incorrect? Please let me know.
Snapchat.
I am curious, though, what you guys think about this new wave of independent media in the White House press secretary room. So please let me know your thoughts in the comments below about that because I read all the comments. I respond to a lot of them. So let's open this discussion, shall we?
Equivalent to the New York Times.
No, but you guys are minimizing something really important here. There was a time where there were 3 evening broadcasts for news. Yes. Everyone sat down around the TV and they watched these 3 news outlets. Mm-hmm. Now you look at where people consume news. 54% of American adults say they get news from social media. A large majority of U.S. adults, 86%, say they get at least some of their information. If you don't want mis and disinformation, which is inevitable obviously with this administration, but if you want to go directly to the source and have people receive it themselves and put it out to their audiences, I'd rather have them in that room. Influencers are not just the Kardashians. They're also the Brene Browns. Mm-hmm. You've got podcasts like Pod Saves America. There are people that only consume their news from other...
They show up.
And I do think that there are a lot of Americans who do feel like the mainstream media got a lot wrong in recent years. And while there are editorial standards, I don't think...
You don't say... Tone deaf bitch.
That we can definitively say, because you have this degree and you're with this outlet, you've never gotten news information wrong.
Well, I will say this. I feel a lot better when I know there are standards people have to meet.
Yeah, of course.
And so you can bring in whoever you want. The proof will be in the pudding. Mm-hmm. We can stand and say, this is terrible, but so we're going to wait and see what happens. And the minute it turns out to be state-run television or state-run information or state-run news, because I disagree that people got stuff wrong. I don't know what people were looking for because the people I talked to were not looking for the things that these folks were looking for. And now that they've got him, are they getting what they want? So that's just my opinion.
But even on the media front, we haven't gotten to this real quickly this week. The CIA came out and said that COVID very likely came from a lab leak. And the New York Times shut down coverage of that. They wouldn't publish an op-ed by a senator from Arkansas, Tom Cotton, saying that this was a credential theory. At the time I was at DOD and that was openly discussed, is a very real possibility.
Confidence by the CIA.
There is a fact that the media at times has gotten things wrong.
Listen,
So I think
it isn't about whether they get it wrong or right. It's what they do to correct it. That's the problem.
That does matter. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I want.
But it also matters.
Do these hags look themselves in the mirror? I hope not, because they'd probably blind themselves from the reflection. But how funny and ironic that these are the same women that are telling us that the mainstream media does a great job at correcting their mistakes. Like, wow. Wow. I don't know what's worse, the fact that these women have a very mainstream news political talk show in America, or the fact that there's actually people that watch it and they don't watch it just because they want to hate watch it like me. They actually get news from here. This is why we need more independent journalists. Case in point.
That the CIA said that it was a low confidence report, and that is why the New York Times, which has standards, didn't report on it.
But withholding the information altogether purely and saying that it's not even a considered theory was what the mistake was.
The mistake really is there's too much BS floating out there, and now it's out of our hands. There's no way to control it. So now they're saying they're going to control it. I want to see what they're going to do. I want to see who they're going to invite into this. Because quite honestly, I like when we're held to standards. I don't always like the way they do it, but we have to have ourselves together. We can't just say stuff in spite of what they tell you. We can't just spout stuff. So I want that for everybody. And if they're going to guarantee that they're at the briefing, then I'll be happy.
Nice. Go off, Black Queen. Anyways, please let me know your thoughts about this insane video in the comments below. Of course, it's always comical to see the woke left completely contradict everything they claim to stand for. They really claim to uplift women and female voices, but the second a woman disagrees with their disgusting woke agenda that advocates for women to hate all men and have hairier armpits than men, then they hate you, which is why I've actually started doing online content. It was the crazy feminists on TikTok that turned me into the anti-feminist monster, and I say that proudly, that I am today. So yeah, again, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.